All right, Miles, let's talk Kansas City Chiefs here for a little bit. This is a team that's been relatively quiet as we go through the early parts of free agency. But right before the weekend kicked off, they made a really sneaky, really smart move that I think will pay huge dividends for them in 2023.
Yeah, Nick, but when you're Super Bowl champions, legally obligated to say that, you can be a little bit sneakier because your team is, quite frankly, the best team in the NFL at this point. It's proven. And that's why we want to know, for the limited moves the Chiefs had made, who has been your favorite signing so far this offseason? Let us know in the comments below. Maybe there's a sneaky re-signing, big free agency pickup that you got that you really like. Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what do you have for the Chiefs and some sneaky good signings?
Yeah, so after the Chiefs addressed the tackle position when they brought in the Jaguars, Jawan Taylor, obviously he could pick up very early on. The Chiefs have been really kind of quiet as a lot of other teams have made a lot of other moves. And like you said, Miles, when you're really good, you don't have to make a lot of moves. But they picked up a really good player just before the weekend kicked off. This is according to Clutch Sports. The Kansas City Chiefs are signing former Buccaneer safety Mike Edwards. It's a one-year contract worth $3 million and up to $5 million in incentives. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports per source. Miles, I love this pickup for one key reason. One of the things that happens when you're a championship team, and we see it all the time, and Chiefs fans are very well aware of this, your key veterans kind of leave to take bigger deals, right? They become Super Bowl champions, they become winners, and other teams are willing to just throw gobs of cash at those guys to get them to come to your team. And then your culture kind of dilutes a little bit. Those were the key veterans, those were the guys that set the foundation for the locker room. And the Chiefs have done a great job replacing a lot of these guys through the draft. But when you're bringing in young guys who really aren't the championship guys, the guys who've been there through the thick and thin, over time, teams slowly degrade. And that's just what happens in the NFL. That's how the salary cap works. But a way you can counteract that is that if you get guys from other championship cultures to come into the fold to replace some of those guys. And Edwards from Tampa Bay, right? He had that 3-year run with Brady. They won the Super Bowl in 2020, back-to-back division titles in 2021, 2022. This is a guy who knows how to win because he's won. This is a guy who wants to win. He doesn't take a one-year deal, $3 million on its face, up to only $5 million. That's not a whole lot of money for an experienced safety like Edwards to come to Kansas City to potentially play for a Super Bowl, likely win another Super Bowl in his career. I think this shows that the Chiefs understand once again what they're doing. They're losing a lot of guys to free agency. That's what happens when your Super Bowl team is just a natural way of things in the NFL, but they're replacing it with quality veterans who have championship pedigrees of their own right. And I think that's a really smart decision by Veach and company in Kansas City. Give me your thoughts on this move, Miles. What do you think?
Yeah, Nick, and you said it perfectly. You're going to lose guys. It's not about what you do, or it's not about who you lose. It's about what you do when you lose them. How do you react to the situation? And the Chiefs didn't panic because maybe they can't afford to go out and get a top tier safety option, sign some guy to some mega contract, but they're good. They're very good in the secondary. You've got L'Jarius Sneed, who's been very, very good. You've got the young guy, Trent McDuffie, who was very, very good last year as well. You got a young guy in Jalen Watson. So the corners are all locked up. Safety is locked up on one side of the ball with Reed. And now you go in and you can get a pretty solid level player. Doesn't have to be a superstar, and a guy like Mike Edwards to bring that championship experience. That was huge that you pointed out. That I think that's the biggest thing. You have to have a guy that's been there before, that knows what it's all about, and he is gonna come in because he knows this is a championship team. He wants to keep that pedigree up. He wants to win another championship. So Edwards takes a very team friendly deal and comes in, brings that experience. And he's going to bring a lot of knowledge to the secondary and from another team that recently won a Super Bowl. So I think it's a really big signing for the Chiefs. And I think they did it at a good price. I think just everything about the move screams like very, very smart decision when you don't have to go out and make a huge splash because your team is already good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Miles, and I think you had a great point of how well they've drafted that position in the defensive backfield the past few number of years. So it's not like they're lacking in talent in that area, and they could potentially go out in the draft and get another guy. But again, bringing in a guy who's been to the playoffs, who's won a Super Bowl before, pairing that with some of these younger guys, although all these younger guys now have a Super Bowl ring too, you're just bringing in a lot of guys that know how to win, who want to compete and win Super Bowls and win more Super Bowls. Because that's one of the things, like I talked about a minute ago, that's the biggest risk to championship teams. That's why it's very rare to have teams repeat. Because you look at teams, they go, they reach the mountaintop and then they all want to leave and get paid. And then those teams have to replace them with guys who aren't championship pedigree guys, aren't necessarily team guys, and usually those teams fall off. The Chiefs are not falling into that trap. They're losing some guys, natural way of things, but they're bringing in guys who know how to win titles, who more importantly want to win titles and to want to sacrifice to win titles, and that's a great sign for them going forward.